nice in here?
Jason, on this side, please.
Have you started to
I feel like Wogan.
I feel lazy leaning back. Is that okay? Should I push it back a little bit?
Does this anymore? Can you just check your phone's on silent?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Going. Gordon, thanks for joining me here today to talk about you being fit at 57.
I'm big into fitness. I love it. The way you train now, is it different and has it evolved since you were 30, 40 and now into your 50s? What does it look like?
Fitness is the foundation. Everything has to revolve around how I feel and how good it is to train. And also, it's the release, I think, for me, because you're not bothered. No one's following you. You're on your own, up a mountain, on a bike, trail run, swim, and it's just the most peaceful time in my life. And that's training. So everyone thinks from the outside it's stressful and it's tiring. I find training relaxing because it just gets me out of that fast lane and into something pretty cool that is just one of the most beautiful places to be, training.
The thing that you mentioned something there about getting out, getting away from it and being in that place that's almost like there's like equilibrium, there's harmony in being in that place. But do you find it stressful trying to make time to do that?
No.
You don't?
No, I got to the age of 40, Jason, and I had no time. I was 7 days a week, restaurants were opening all over the place, Michelin stars coming out my arse, and all of a sudden my life got consumed. And so I took a good look at myself and I realized I was overweight, out of control, and I'd forgotten my time. I'd forgotten the most important part of my day, and that was that 90-minute session, 5 days a week to myself. So taking up triathlons wasn't just about running. I had to go for a swim, I had to go on a bike, and so it made me more disciplined. Wherever we were filming in the world, wherever we were opening a restaurant in the world, I could either swim, go for a quick hike, or a run on a shitty machine that could barely, hold my weight. So clawing that time back was crucial, and I had this ambition of doing my first Ironman on my 40th birthday, and I was 3 years late, but that's when the penny dropped. Bang, get time back, and all of a sudden everything became so much easier. Because I see training as a way of processing things.
Yeah.
I revert, I review, and I get some of the most creative moments under pressure training. It's crazy. I remember standing in a deep water start in Hawaii at the head of the Ironman, 5:30 in the morning, sun was just coming up. And there were ex-Marines being lowered into the water with limbs and legs, and these incredible soldiers competing in the same Ironman that I was in. And it was a deep water start, and I'm worrying about fucking plastic on my goggles snapping, or they saw a couple of sharks. I'm like, what have I got to worry about when these guys are swimming and girls are swimming minus a limb, minus an arm? They got a snorkel and mask on, and we're about to attack 3.8K swim in the sea. So it was the most incredible moment of my life when it was like, move your fucking ass, because this is the most perfect spot I've ever wanted to be in, with that pressure. But it's just a way of relaxing, training. I know it may sound crazy, but it does make me relax when I can train.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. If I haven't trained, it's when I become a little bit aggy. Probably difficult to be around if you speak to my missus. But going back to your father passing, were you conscious then about being healthy, or did that come later, looking back at that moment and being like, oh, hang on a minute, I need to do something about this?
With 3 sons, I was more conscious about the hereditary issues.
Yeah.
And so, sadly, Dad was an alcoholic, and so he didn't look after himself. The good old fried Scottish fucking fry up, 5 days a week, excessive alcohol. So I used that scenario to create the opposite, and know that I could be close to that. I could be, on the verge of a heart attack. I could be as unhealthy as him. And so it drove me, to getting super fit. And then I think just the image of a chef today, you've got to be a marketing tool, you've got to be creative, you've got to be a great leader, you've got to, understand the bandwidth of this lifestyle for food and drink. The role of a chef today is way more prolific than it was 20, 30 years ago. And we need to be fit, we need to be smart, and we need to set that example to the team. And I hate the pyramids, Jason. We have a platform. I just want everyone to get on that platform. Then when the platform's set, the train leaves the station. There's no, I'm on top and I'm the boss. It's like, lead by example. We're super fucking disciplined as well. I'll eat 2 mouthfuls of a delicious dish and then ignore it. And it's painful because you sit there like the green-eyed monster, desperate to devour that whole fucking plate. And I'll discipline myself to 2 mouthfuls. And then I get to fuck out of that plate. And it pains me. But I know if I eat 3rd, 4th, 5th, that's it, you know, it's game over.
But with that in mind, when it comes to like losing weight, being fit, like when I go through I have clean and dirty periods where I sometimes indulge and whatnot, but when it comes to a clean period and it's time to cut up, lose weight, get fitter, I normally force myself to eat pretty boring food. Can you do that?
Good food doesn't have to be boring food. And healthy food never has to be, you know, fad food. Oh yeah, I mean, that's in my wheelhouse, right? Whether it's habanero chili or whether it's the most amazing spice, I'll always make something delicious out of, you know, pretty plain, basic food. So yeah, I'm happy with that. I love eating. Protein shake in the morning, scrambled eggs for lunch, and then something poached for dinner, whether it's poached chicken, poached fish. And we don't do lots of salads, but it's just finding that balance. But we're nimble. We are super nimble. And growing up working 16, 17 hours behind the line in a kitchen, you're grazing. And a chef would lie if they said, we eat dinner before you cook dinner because you're lethargic after you've eaten, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you've got to stay on your toes. It's like a sort of ballerina. Tiny little mouthfuls, tiny little tastings. But it's discipline, I think. That's the bit that drives me, the discipline, saying 2 mouthfuls and get the hell out of there.
But I need some tips because I eat boring shit and it does my tits in.
Give me an example of boring shit. Give me a dish.
Just like a bit of chicken on its own. But, you know, like boiled chicken.
Oh, no. You see, the minute you boil...
I think that's what I'm supposed to do because I read that shit in the...
I know, but boiling it is going to give it a texture like fucking Gandhi's flip-flop. So you need to poach that thing lightly, get the veg cut nice and thin, put the veg in there at the beginning. All of a sudden, you've got this nice sort of pot au feu with vegetables and a nice poached chicken.
Okay, cool. All right, I need to read some recipe books because I'm terrible at that. Sort of reminds me of in the old days eating rations and whatnot. But back onto training real quickly. What does a typical week, training-wise, look like for Gordon Ramsay?
Out of 7 days, I like to train minimum 4.
Yeah.
If we can squeeze in 5, schedules are hectic, we're time poor. So that's why we maximise little time. So I get up every morning at 5:30, 5:45, 2 little boys. Now they get us up early, quick run, 30 minutes, a stretch, and then a little bit of core. After work, 7:38. Last week, in and out of the Savoy all day long. We've got a big project coming up at Bishopsgate, so I'll do several tastings. And then I'll be working through till about 8:30, 9:30, home, quick bite to eat, and then back into bed.
Yeah.
Weekends is when we push it. Weekends is when we can really sort of do that 90-minute, 2-hour session. And then sometimes we'll sit on a watt bike. I'll be there at 10 o'clock at night on a Thursday night if I can't make that half hour in the morning. Keep nimble, don't eat much during the day, and then go back and just sit on this watt bike and literally turn the heating up and sweat, man, and just sit there for 90 minutes. When we train, I know I'm time poor 2 weeks later, so I'll put an extra 10% on that training session because I know I could go off grid for a week and not lift anything.
So you basically get it in the bag as and when you can.
100%.
So you at least mentally you're like, well, I've squared that amount of training away.
Yeah, and stack it away, push it away, dig deep, and at home we're lucky enough to have a gym. There's a row machine, even a 15-minute row machine, 1 minute on, 1 minute off. 10, 12, 15 reps. That's fantastic. You're done in 20 minutes. But how you feel on a silly little row machine is incredible. What that lift can do is brilliant.
Yeah.
I am getting older, and so rupturing my Achilles, 5 years ago and snapping that thing. I got half Ironman coming up, and so I can breeze through that stuff. The big one, I need to train more, 25, 30 hours a week. But yeah, I get it in the bank and store it. And then it makes me feel so much better going forward.
For me, being fit and understanding my body does allow me to tap into being healthy as well. Getting good sleep, eating properly, drinking properly, it allows you to tap into your pools of resilience easier, I think. And I was just wanting to go into the world of resilience and what it means to you, and the fact that you have spoken about the industry, you know, being a chef can be stressful. People suffer from depression. They abuse substances. They abuse drink. They don't look after themselves. How have you managed to find the resilience to not do that?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, sadly, I've lost a chef, you know, to that substance. Sadly, I still have a brother that's an addict. And so there's all those stern reminders at the forefront of my mind to stay on that straight and narrow and deadly focused. I go back to the responsibility. You know, I have a lot of individuals in my team, and so we're codependent. And so there's no way I can afford to fuck up. And that's what drives me on. You only need 2 or 3 examples of shit scenarios to be positioned at the front of your mind to keep it absolutely straight. And I always question it. I went back to Stratford-upon-Avon a couple of years back when our first eldest daughter graduated. And it was such a magical moment because she graduated a degree. We could only dream of a degree in the house. And none of our family had ever got anywhere near uni. So I took Meg back to this council estate that I grew up on in Stratford-upon-Avon. And I showed her this tiny little 3-bedroom house, a tiny little thing. She said, "Daddy, there's 6 of you in there. Where do you sleep?" I said, "I slept in that little room up there, that tiny window." And she said, "Well, how did you sleep with your brother?" I said, "We had bunk beds." So I had to explain to her these bunk beds were, you know, 12 inches apart. And that's how close I was not to making it. Because how can, sadly, he be so far off-piste? And, you know, there's only 15 months between us. And so that's another stern reminder. And it was just that moment, shit, Ronnie could have been me and I could have been Ronnie. And so I think reminding yourself constantly, you know, there's a backdrop, you know, there is a downside.
Staying on resilience and dealing with adversity, what would you say has been the hardest thing for you to overcome?
Hardest thing to overcome is, I think, you know, measuring the success. I'm a self-confessed perfectionist in a really healthy way.
Yeah.
Not in a way that's overridden and overdriven. I just know how to put my foot on the gas and create something magical. So I remember sitting at Clouds in a rehab with my little brother, and they told me that I was an addict because I'm addicted to perfection. I'm like, yeah, it's a healthy thing. Pressure's healthy. It becomes stressful when it's unsustainable. And so I was 34 years of age when I won my 3rd Michelin star. So you couldn't go any higher in the industry. And the minute I won it, I handed the reins over and started teaching.
Yeah.
And so from playing in the orchestra, you become the conductor. You're all of a sudden, you're the captain, and now you're the master of your own destiny. And that's the position we're in.
It's about that giving back, I think. When you get to a certain level, especially in the military, you get the opportunity to be an instructor and hand over that knowledge. And at least, I think you develop more from it as well, don't you? You get a lot from that ability to give back.
But also, I've had my time. I've done my service. I've had my time. I fucking grafted everything I've got. Now I want to give it and make sure these kids, female and male, become the next thoroughbreds because I want them to get the status that I got. So I started with nothing. I grew up with mum and dad not even owning their own house. And so you don't obsess with money. You don't get spoilt. I love luxury. I love smart cars, but fuck me, do I work hard for them.
Yeah.
And nothing's been handed down. And so having 6 kids now, and I wake up and there's Meg as a police officer, Jack's a Royal Marine Commando, Holly's in fashion, Tilly's just got her degree, and Oscar's 5, you know, swimming his heart out. Jesse James is 6 months old. And so they're all set now. They're all on track. They're not standing there waiting for handouts. What Tana and I have done is a reflection of our discipline because of where they are. And I do shit myself sometimes when Meg's on a night shift. I mean, she's gone. And then Jack away, gone. I think, shit, should we have kept them in the... No, let them find their own way. And what I said from day one is find your passion. When you're passionate about something, it doesn't become work. It becomes a unique opportunity to get excited and are super fit with it as well, because they understand fitness gives you longevity.
Yeah.
And without fitness, you have no longevity. So everyone said, 57, you should be on the fucking Caribbean with a boat, fishing. What? I'd never, what am I going to do in terms of retirement? So I have no interest in retiring. I work smarter, not harder.
It wasn't that long ago, the accident.
Yeah.
How did you deal with that, and how did you bounce back from it?
Well, I mean, 5 weeks ago today, would you believe, I was in hospital.
Is it only 5 weeks ago?
Yeah. I've still got this fucking ostrich egg of a hematoma on the side of my hip. How do I bounce back? And my life flashed before me, traveling down a hill quite fast, no other cars involved. Front wheel went down a pothole, and the whole bike just catapulted me. I struggled to breathe. I thought I was going to pass out. Stupidly, the bike was mangled, and I put the chain back on. And then, like an idiot, with adrenaline, I started fucking riding again. Bent down, started tightening up my helmet, and the whole thing had split. And then I was trying to look, and I could just see a blurred vision. So blood everywhere, and then this side was just coming out, and then my rib cage, I honestly thought I was going to pass out. Called Justin, got the ambulance, and then next minute I'm having, all the vitals taken care of. And all of a sudden, you're in hospital. Phoned Tana, gutted, little accident, but I didn't quite know the outcome. Went and had a CAT scan because they were worried about a fractured pelvis and concussion. They wouldn't give me anything to drink, and I was fucking baking hot, and my lips were cracking. So, everything just flashed in front of me. The last time I felt like that is when I collapsed on an Ironman because I pushed it too hard on the run in Hawaii. I bent down to do my laces up, and I'd gone so hard, I just collapsed. So when they said there was nothing broken coming out of that CAT scan, it was a massive relief, because then it was just, take myself up, I couldn't even put my fucking socks and pants on. I have an amazing assistant, Justin. He used to dress me in the morning. I felt like I was a fucking 95-year-old man. Asking a 30-year-old kid to put my fucking underpants on was embarrassing. 5 weeks later, here I am. I can still see it clearly. Coming down the hill, jumped out at one pothole, and all of a sudden went down the next one, and this fucking thing just catapulted over. And I got back up and started riding again like a fucking idiot, because that's what I thought. I was embarrassed. I felt stupid. I'd lost control. I went back to see the pothole, and it was like a foot deep, and the whole wheel wedged in there. Yeah. So, getting stronger, back training. I've been back a week now, swimming, which is brilliant. Hematoma's going down, which is great, and all the bruising is going. So, again, if I wasn't fit and those bones weren't strong, exactly, I'd be screwed. So I'm going to put it back down to the fitness, going into it, getting on the bike and disappearing up those hills. I'm lucky to be here because I'm fit.
You got 6 kids, 57, and the youngest is 8 months. Mm-hmm. How the fuck do you do that?
Everyone thinks you lead a stressful life. I've always resolved to fitness, to de-stress. And everyone thinks, what? You enjoy that? Yeah, I fucking love it, because it's the opposite to where my normal life is. And so I will honestly carve out moments every week to disappear and literally just process everything. Yeah. And I see it as therapeutic. And I see a watt bike, a dumbbell, a barbell as my therapist. Yeah. I use fitness as a therapy. And I go into some real fucked up scenarios in my life, Kitchen Nightmares, 24 Hours to Hell and Back, and all these incredible shows where they ask you in for your help. They give you shit for helping them. They don't take the remedy. They don't listen to the prescription. And then when they're successful, you don't get praise. When they fail, you get blamed. So you're fucked either way. Yeah. So outside of those shows, I need to stay mentally, physically fit and on it. And so, I relax when I train. And that's what it does for me. It does so much more than it ever did in my 30s. And when I started getting to the 40s and doing triathlons and then, sea swims, and all of a sudden ultra marathons, it's like, shit, this thing's just, my head's above the parapet. I'm in control. Yeah. Fitness gave me that level of control like no other, because I was so organized. Coming out of a session, going into work, it's like, man, everything's, hey, that's not a problem. Here's the solution. Now I ask for the problems and I give the solution, because mentally and physically, it's 100%.
You just spoke about some of the stuff that you've done. When people look back and look at what you've done, what you've achieved, it is bonkers. There is literally the list of shows that you've been a part of, restaurants, it is off the scale. Very successful, but is there anything that you do differently?
I've got no regrets, by the way.
No.
I've made some big fuck-ups. I just haven't been so stupid to make the same mistake twice. Try to get fitter earlier, impossible, because I was carving out a career. I was on a mission, and I was climbing the summits, and I was relentless in that pursuit of perfection, winning 3 Michelin stars, getting to the very top. Can you imagine, at 40, with a heart attack, one of the most successful chefs on the planet, but not around to enjoy it? Yeah. Fuck that. I learn from other people's mistakes, and I still learn from other people's mistakes. I use examples in scenarios today, tonight, the briefing at the Savoy or Royal Hospital Road. I'll give an example of what not to do. So, hate that word, told you so. Just, listen and learn.
What's next?
What's next? I've got the biggest and the most daring, and perhaps, I think, one of the most unique spots I've ever been given, and that's 22 Bishopsgate.
Yeah.
It's going to be one of the tallest restaurants in Europe. There's an academy opening there. There's a restaurant, Gordon Ramsay, at the very top. A beautiful Japanese open garden. It's 35,000 square foot. It's a £25 million investment. And my balls are back in the vice again.
So you were at the top of that building. I was next to it yesterday, actually.
Oh,
But I was in
beautiful.
I was in the building next door, so you can see how high it is and like how imposing it is. How much have you got? Like a few floors then?
Yeah, we've got the top 2 floors. Top 2 floors. Trying to think about launching it in February.
Yeah.
I'd love to abseil down the fucking thing. At some moments I have, because I think, there's something quite dangerous.
I feel I can assist in that.
So I'd love that.
I can work this out.
I'd love that. I mean, I still get told off. Jack, God bless him, said, Dad, what the fuck are you doing? Hanging outside a helicopter and jumping into shark-infested waters. I need the buzz.
Okay.
I'll be honest, I need the buzz. I need the jeopardy, I think. I could sit back and put my feet up and buy a boat and fuck off to the Caribbean, but I have no interest in that.
It's boring.
Yeah, and also I love the jeopardy. I think that's the bit. And I can do that because I'm fit. I can do that because I've got the drive. And when I haven't got the drive, then I'll decide to hang up the hat when I'm ready, not when somebody else wants me to hang up the hat.
It's a place, yeah, mate, cheers. Thanks for making it easy.
Oh, come on, you did a great job. Thank you.